Hello, my name's Mandy and this is the first video in my channel. My channel's called Mandy Sorts It Out, and I thought the things I need to do in this channel are tell you who I am and why I'm creating this channel. So I'm Mandy, I'm 61. I was born in the UK, in Manchester, but when I was just over a year old, my parents left the UK to live overseas. They moved back to the UK when I was 19, but they divorced not long after that. I remained, along with my siblings, overseas and stayed there, worked there until 2022 when I was 58. I gave up work, rented out my house, and I moved to the UK, to Bristol in the UK, which is where my mum was living at that time. And the reason I moved over was because my mum had dementia, and the dementia was really affecting her speech. She was forgetting words and having real troubles communicating. And it had got to the point where basically the phone calls were, hello, I love you, goodbye. That was about it, because she couldn't manage to ask me many questions. She couldn't manage to express herself to me. By this time she was using gesture a lot, and of course I couldn't see that, and Mum wouldn't have been able to use any technology which would have enabled me to see the gestures she was making. So it seemed the best thing to do was to move over to the UK. So I moved over and I rented my mum's house while she was in the care home, and I took her out a lot, and that worked really well. She had wanted to go out more, but the family that were in the area were working, so they weren't able to take her out except at weekends, and she was finding it really difficult being inside the care home all day, every day. That was part of my plan, was to come over, was so that I wouldn't need to work, so that I could take Mum out a lot. And at first we did go out a lot. We had a rota with family about visiting Mum. So sometimes I only saw Mum twice a week, sometimes 3 times, but quite frequently other family members were away. So sometimes up to 5 times a week I would see Mum and take her out. And we could be out for up to 4 hours. We could be out for lunch, going to charity shops, going to see other shops. We might go for a walk in the park. And I know this really helped Mum when I was over and doing this. And she used to love it. She used to love going out. But as her dementia progressed, unfortunately, she started to find this difficult. At first, there was always something she needed. I need this, let's look for this. Sometimes it took a while to understand what she needed because of her communication difficulties, but she would know what she needed and we would try and find it. But eventually she got that she didn't know she needed things, and she got a bit overwhelmed by the busyness and brightness of shops and the amount of people there, and she would get distressed in the car. Sometimes she'd get really frightened by traffic going past the car. Sometimes she would think that she wanted something but she didn't know what it was, but she couldn't tell you what it was. She couldn't tell you what shop to go in. And I remember my sister and I taking around all sorts of shops trying to find this thing that she was looking for, and she would get very frustrated and upset and tearful in the middle of the shops, which was very difficult for both of us. So it became really quite difficult, and there was times where she took a seatbelt off in the car, and there was times where she took things out of a handbag and she tried to show me them in the car, putting them in front of my face while I was driving along. It got really tricky, and in the end I had to say to the rest of the family, I can't do this anymore on my own. It needs at least 2 of us to take Mum out. And unfortunately that was the last time I took Mum out, because it just wasn't possible for 2 of us to be present. So that was really sad, but I got to take Mum out for well over a year, and just after I stopped taking Mum out, I started getting ill. And to be honest, I thought it was depression. I thought it was because I couldn't take Mum out anymore, because that time had come to an end. I was very tired. I was sleeping all the time. I was really tired when I wasn't sleeping. I had aches and pains. So to me, I just thought, I'm depressed. And I thought this will pass. So I just kept waiting for it to pass. And it went on for some months. I must have read something or seen something, and I thought, what if it's a thyroid gland? I am getting older. This was back last year, and I turned 60 last year, and I thought I really ought to just get a checkup and just see if it's anything physical. So eventually I went to the doctor in about June time and had a blood test, and it turned out I was quite deficient in iron, vitamin B12 and in vitamin D. So that explained an awful lot of the symptoms I've been having, and I did start feeling better once I was taking supplements. But during that time I obviously didn't look for work because I didn't feel up to it. Towards the end of the year I started feeling better, and one of the things I decided to do, rather than find a job where I was in Bristol, was to move, because by this stage Mum often didn't seem to know who I was. I thought I wouldn't be letting Mum down by moving away. She wouldn't know that I'd moved away. Just before I left, if you went out the room for a few minutes and then came back, to her it was as if she hadn't seen you in ages. So I knew that she wouldn't have any understanding of not seeing me routinely through the week. So, and I did not like Bristol. I found it a bit of a scary place. I'd come from quite a small community. My son lives in Leicestershire, so I decided to move to Leicestershire. Part of my thinking was that it's cheaper up here, and part of it was that Leicestershire is much more in the country, so I'd be away from the city. And I moved. I felt really well, so I was able to organise a move. I went round and saw a few places, and I moved up to Leicestershire into a small town, which I absolutely love, much happier, and I'm nearer my son, so I do see my son a bit more regularly since I've moved up here. Yeah, so that's about me. And what do I want out of this channel? Well, there's two things really. There's two things I need to sort out. One of them is 8 tubs of stuff, and this is all that's left really of clutter that I've had for many, many years. I got divorced when I was living overseas, and as part of the divorce the marital home was sold and I moved to a much smaller home, and at that time I vastly decluttered. And then of course I moved to the UK, and when I moved to the UK I decided not to bring everything with me because most of my furniture and things were very old and battered, and that I decided to get rid of most of it. And my brother managed to get all my things inside his transit van, so that's what I brought with me. So I vastly decluttered again and got rid of an awful lot of stuff again, possibly more than I should have, but it doesn't really matter now, it's all been sorted out. But I knew how much it would cost to get all that to the UK. So I'm down to 8 tubs of things that I couldn't quite get rid of. And some of this stuff in the tubs is mine, and some of the stuff in the tubs is not. It's paperwork and stuff like that I've inherited from my father. I think there's some from my grandmother, and there's definitely quite a bit from my grandmother's cousin, who I befriended and who was a lovely, lovely lady and who had no other family. So I've got stuff of hers, well, not even just hers, I've got stuff from her mother, I've got paperwork from her father, and I don't really know what to do with it all. It's very old, some of it, and I don't know if it has any value, not monetary value but cultural value. I have managed to get some of the bits into museums or archives, but there's still an awful lot to look at and sort out and find homes for, or decide it has no value and I don't need to hold on to it and get rid of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some of it that can just do that, but I was very, very fond of my granny's cousin, and I think those things are really hard to get rid of because it feels like you're disappointing people, it feels like you're giving up on people or abandoning them, and yeah, I need some help, I need some support, I need to say to people, this is what I'm thinking, and have them saying, yes, do it. Or why are you holding on to that when I say now I'm going to keep it? I just need some support and help here. And the other area of my life I need support and help in is budgeting. Now, I've been watching some channels. I've got a list here. Ali Lives Well on Less, Living on a Low Income, Living on a UK state pension, and Frugal Granny. I have found them so useful, so informative, and so helpful. It was watching those channels that enabled me to actually sit down with a pen and paper and work out what my income is, because I wasn't really sure, but I was terrified that I was overspending. And I knew I was overspending, so I kept having to take money from my savings, but I just wasn't sure how to control that spending. So I just ignored it, really, put my head in the sand. So since watching those channels, I've had the confidence to sit and do all the calculations I need to, and I know what income I'm getting now, and I know what I'm spending. I've created a budget which is within the income I got last year. I don't know if it's going to be within the income I get this year, but it was within the income I got last year. So it's a lot closer than what I was using to restrict my income before. I just need to live off it now. I need to keep going, and I know it's very easy for me to let things slip, shall I say. And I think this is something I really need to do. I still have some savings left, but I need those savings. I don't know what the future is going to bring. I don't know if I will be able to get a pension over here. And I left where I was living overseas before I got a full pension. So there is a need to have some money behind me. And I don't know how much money I'm going to get from my pension overseas. That's something I really ought to find out. There's a lot I need to do, really. And I just want this channel to give me the accountability to get these things sorted and kept on top of. And that's what somebody mentioned. I don't remember which channel it was, but someone mentioned that these channels give accountability and enable them to stick to their budgets. And I thought, yeah, that's what I need. I need that sort of help. I don't think I'm strong enough to do it alone. I need somebody watching for me to know that I've got to stick to this. So that's the plan for these channels. I am fascinated by how other people spend their money. There's a magazine called Refinery 29, which does money diaries. And I really enjoy reading those and reading how other people spend their money. And I think it is quite a fascinating topic. So I'm hoping to find people interested who are willing to follow me and comment and create a little community to help me. And maybe I can help them. I haven't done this for long, so I'm not going to be like a lot of the other frugal channels where they have so much information to give, because I don't really. And I'm certainly not going to be like some of the channels where you get shown meals being cooked, because I'm a terrible cook. And also I have an awful lot of food restrictions due to health conditions. And also I'm trying to lose weight. So I think showing people my cooking, apart from it being incredibly stressful for me because I am not a good cook, although today I made a mushroom omelette and I was very proud of it. And I did think I'd be very proud if someone watched me cooking that, but I didn't know it was going to turn out that well. So if that's the kind of thing that interests you, then please join me. Comment and let's get this thing going. Okay, thank you. Bye.